Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder, where I talk to interesting people about interesting topics. My name is Steve Holder, and I am your host. My guest tonight is Deanna Jean, hostess of the Deanna Jean Show. Welcome, Deanna.
Welcome. And thank you for having me on your show.
Well, I'm glad that you came on. You are an interesting person, and that's what I do. I talk to interesting people about interesting topics.
Thank you.
So tell us something about your background. Who are you?
I am a podcaster. I am recovering from anorexia nervosa. I also suffer from anxiety disorder, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm basically on a journey to better myself. So this podcast is just an extension of who I am and, how I can help the world.
Okay, good deal. Do you think that sometimes people look at people with mental illness as though we're inferior or something?
Yes, definitely. I feel that people look at me in a different light. And, when people find out that, we as people have these flaws, they look at us differently, like, you got flaws, I don't. Well, everybody has some kind of flaw. And, that's basically not really true to look down on somebody who has mental health illness.
Yeah. So how old were you when you were first diagnosed?
Well, I've had anorexia nervosa for about 22 years now. I've been diagnosed for 10 of those, and I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety when I was 19 years old, and PTSD more recently.
Okay. So how does your mental illnesses affect your life?
Well, right now I'm podcasting and not really working, so I can work on my mental illness, so I can be a better version of me. So when I go back to work, I can basically, hold down a job without my PTSD or eating disorder getting in the way.
Yeah. So can you explain exactly what is anorexia nervosa?
Well, anorexia nervosa is a eating disorder, and it's actually one of the most dangerous types of eating disorders. I've almost died a couple of times with the eating disorder. So actually, when I was 23 and had my last death scare, I decided that it was time for me to move on and change and try to basically get better.
Yeah. So, and you say you have PTSD. What is that exactly?
It's a post-traumatic stress disorder. So I've been in some really, really dire situations that have really affected me, my mind, body, and soul. And PTSD affects everything, like my mind, body, and my soul. And I have flashbacks and anxiety and bouts of depression and so on and so forth. So it's pretty much a really it's a bad disorder to have. It's like what veterans have. I have a disorder what veterans have when they come over from or come home from war,
Yeah.
basically.
So which gives you the most trouble, the PTSD or the anorexia or anxiety, depression, or is it just all mixed in so you don't even know?
It's all mixed in. So sometimes I'll have bouts of anxiety, and then there's bouts of depression, and then I would want to go back to to the disorder called anorexia nervosa, and and then I'd have flashbacks from the PTSD. So it's all mixed in and combined into one condition there. So
Yeah. Now, how is anorexia different from bulimia? I always get those two confused.
well, a lot of people have asked me, is anorexia the one that you throw up? And I'm like, no, actually it's where you starve yourself for basically control. There's other components that go with it. Bulimia is basically, you eat something, and then you throw up. Sorry, that's binge eating disorder. Sorry. There's so many disorders out there that it's really hard to talk about one of them. And then there's also, different types of, things associated with each one. But bulimia is basically when you throw up.
Yeah.
And anorexia is more or less starving yourself because you think you're fat.
Yeah. I lost a friend from one or the other many years ago, and I swear I don't remember what she was. She started when I first met her. She was a beautiful young lady in her 20s, and all the guys wanted to date her, and I did too. And she was just gorgeous. But over a couple of years, she just wasted away. And the last time I saw her alive, I think she was 35, and she looked like she was 90. It's a skeleton, and it was so sad.
I have pictures from that day, and I occasionally look actually at myself at that way, and I'm like, that's gross. Like it makes me want to be sick. It really makes me want to be sick when I see that kind of pictures, like my ribs all out, and it was just a harsh reality having to see myself like that in a positive, because I'm being positive now, to see it in a negative way. And I'm like, holy moly, what did I do to myself? Why did I do it to myself? Right. So, I know it has a lot to do with my past, when I was younger and all of that. There was some stuff that happened when I was a kid, and but yeah, with your friend, it could have been a number of things. She could have grew up in a family where there was, abuse present, or somebody did something to her, who knows, and yeah.
So tell us about your book. I know you are writing a book, correct?
Yes, I am. It's actually about when I was younger, my past. I want to tell people, what happened. I'm an adoptee, and I was placed with what was to be a good home. And, my adoptive mother was a drunk and a narcissist, and she would call me names, and it's basically stemming from how that happened into all of my disorders, and then coming right up and just changing my mind and wanting to be the best version of me. Even now I'm like 32 years old, and I'm doing things for the first time. I'm smiling again. I'm not so depressed. I don't have that much anxiety. And, that's what I want to cover. I want to show people that it's possible to recover from anxiety and depression and an eating disorder, and to be recovered from PTSD. I want to be able to show people like, hey, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, good. I wrote my autobiography a few years ago about my struggles with depression, anxiety, and addiction, and it was really therapeutic for me to write that. You know, I think that done me a world of good.
Like even talking about it to other people, especially on, different kinds of shows. It's helped me a lot, podcasting, and then, getting interviewed by other podcasters and interviewing other people, and just to see where other people have gone. It's made me want to become a better person. And yeah.
Yeah. So do you think you're still trying to get over the things that happened to you as a child?
I do fumble from time to time, but I have this technique, and actually I journal, and journaling has helped me through a lot, and it's helped me basically deal with all the stressors that have led to this point, into the point where I had 7 years of actually bad luck. And I'm like, you know what, I feel better now that I've worked towards it, and I've fixed the situation. I've explained the situation to myself, and I feel better that even though this happened, there's a lot of good that has come out from that.
Yeah. So tell us about your podcast. Now, you talk about mental illness on your podcast, correct?
I do. So the first couple of seasons was just, the first season I was digging into negativity and how it affects people and all of that. The second season I had to basically say no to, because no one was listening to it. But the third season, I'm like, okay, I gotta revamp this show in order to get it out, and so people can are able to listen to it. So that's where the All About series comes from. So right now I just finished the All About Eating Disorders series, where I just talk about the condition, and I don't put any of my own stories in. I actually, on top of that, have a blog called Mental Health and Me, and it's basically my struggles with anorexia, or my struggles with anxiety. So right now I'm working on the All About Anxiety series, and then I will be going into PTSD and CPTSD. So C means complex post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. I kind of think the whole world has that now. After going through 2020, the pandemic and everything we went through, I think we all have complex PTSD.
Yeah, definitely. And with what's going on in the world with the pandemic, like we've been, like here in Canada, we've had already 3 waves, and we're in the third wave right now. And I'm like, when is this going to end? Is it going to be July? Is it going to be this time, or this time? Are we going to, when's the vaccination? When's this?
Yeah.
But nobody knows anything right now. They're vaccinating 40 plus up here. And I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. Hopefully it'll be, 30 up and up,
Yeah. I think we finally got it to where it's available for anyone that wants it. Finally.
Yeah.
Do people ever come to you for guidance on how to deal with their issues because they know you have issues of your own?
I haven't had people come to me as of yet, but what I do is I put my email out there and say, if you have something that you need to deal with, come to me and talk to me about it. I'm available most times during the day. that, I'm available, and you can just send me a message, or, just shoot the, what, I'm not going to swear on your show, but, let's
Say
talk if
whatever
you
you
need help.
want. Say whatever you
Shoot,
want to say.
shoot the shit. But yeah, no, I keep telling everybody at the end of my episodes, if you need help, let me help you, let me guide you in the right way, let me help you with whatever you want. So yeah.
So your podcast is all about helping others. That's really what you're trying to do.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. And, I'm hoping, people are learning some stuff about mental health. Later on in future seasons, I want to bring in, what is it? DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, but it would be all about it, how to go about to get it. And also, I want to do a show about meditation later on. That's basically where I want it to go. And I'm trying to get it so people can be like, okay, this is what to be expected, and then go on into season 4, 5, or 6, and just basically do things like coping mechanisms, or things like meditation, or just things that just be themselves throughout the day.
Yeah. So you mentioned being raised by a narcissist.
Yeah.
So what was your childhood?
Yes.
Very traumatic? Was it really, really horrible? Or if you don't mind talking about it.
So I grew up, I don't mind. I grew up in a family of 8 people. That includes the narcissist and the father. They're no longer married now. But when I was younger, it would be like my brothers would pick on me, and then I would do something, even though I was the oldest. They do something to me, and then I get really angry about it and do something back, like, how do you like it, and then I'd get the brunt of the trouble, and they'd get basically, not get in trouble at all. And I felt very much alone. And, I actually was, I think season 1, your conclusion doesn't have to be, your condition doesn't have to be your conclusion, with Joe Potosi. He's also a narcissistic abuse survivor. And, I felt like, hey, I know that I'm not alone anymore. And at that time, when I was younger, I felt very alone. And then when the parents split, when I was 9, 10, my mother started to get really, really verbal towards me, like, you're fat, you're stupid, and you're ugly. And I began to think of that. And that's how actually my eating disorder started. And, sometimes I look at the situation and I'm like, what, if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be the best version I am today. I haven't talked to the woman in 4 years, and I'm glad. I'm really, really happy, because, it's just been so painful just having her in my life. And I had to learn that toxic people don't belong in your life, or my life, or whoever's life.
Yeah. That's a lesson I had to learn the hard way too. And I did finally learn this. Some people, even though I love them, I can love them from a distance, because
Definitely.
I love them. It doesn't mean I like them. Some people just, I know, like you say, they're toxic. And I have no
Yep.
reason to be around them, and I don't want to be around them.
You know what's funny? I had to find out I was adopted, but like I was 10 years old when I found out I was adopted, and that traumatized me. It really traumatized me. And my brother was running, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, you're adopted." What a way to find out you're adopted, right? That's that's a that's a new one. And I just had to ask. I asked, and I got 3 different lies from her. One was your parents were a bunch of drunks, and then the other reason because they didn't want me, and then the other one was because my mother was on drugs or something like that. And then I found out actually when I was 18 that the one lie was true, pertinent to, was actually true to the adoptive mother. I had my brother call me up and say, "Look, I know that you're the last one to know, but mom's been an alcoholic for most of our lives." So, sometimes you just have to look at the bigger picture. And I'm glad that I was the one who was persistent enough to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to find out who my birth parents are. I actually now know them, and I'm so glad that I have them in my life because it's just been a lot easier for me. And I do feel bad for the adoptive dad because he's been there for most of my life, and he was a good person. And I haven't said anything to him that, hey, I basically feel bad for kind of not talking to you and not telling you that I'm living with actually my adoptive family right now.
Yeah. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, besides from, the narcissistic abuse and the eating disorder, is basically, okay, I am a recovering drug addict as well. Been recovered for 2 years, and I was homeless on and off since I was 16. So I've faced like many challenges. So
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your 2 years clean and sober.
thank you. Thank you. And it was something needed. I wanted to start the process. Like it's been on and off. Like my recovery has been on and off, and just something just, a brick fell in front of me, and then I go back the other way, and then, back and forth. You know what? Life is a bunch of bricks. You got to learn how to dodge them.
Yeah. I've always said the road to recovery is full of potholes and curves. It's not smooth and straight.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Any kind of recovery, even like I'm recovering from so many things all at once. Plus, on top of that, I just quit smoking. I'm actually switched to vaping, just to cut down my nicotine intake, so I can just be fully quit after that, and I don't have to deal with any of the withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. So what has been your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment would be helping others the way that I help myself.
Yeah. Okay. So do you believe that self-confidence plays a role in any kind of recovery?
Yes, I do. I do. It took me a long time to figure that one out. And when was it? A year ago, I started to build my self-esteem and my self-confidence by actually journal challenges. And I brought in the gratitude, and I've been very, very confident with my recovery of all of the stuff that we previously talked about. And I feel a lot better than I did.
Yeah. So how do you shut down that inner critic that we all have?
You know what I do? I use the big positivity voice.
Oh, yeah.
That big positive. Yep. It took me years to build it up, but you know what? That inner critic, it is that big. My inner voice is that big.
There you go. Good deal. Good deal. So what are some ways that you have found out that you self-sabotage, and how do you avoid that?
So one thing I do is there's multiple things with the self-sabotage. One would be the narcissistic mother. Since having her out of my life, it's been a lot easier for me to recover and deal with everything that's going on. And then another thing is I don't listen to that inner critic. I don't. If I do, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So I have decided to, stop using the inner critic. I stay away from negative people, and I podcast. So
Okay.
so that
Do you think asking people for help when you're really in a bad spot is a sign of weakness, or is that a sign of strength and wisdom?
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. I actually find that asking for help means that you're stronger than your disorders, and that it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of you want to be united with yourself. It's it's a sign of confidence. It's a sign that you trust yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, is ask for help.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to learn that lesson the hard way too.
I had to learn it like 4 or 5 times the hard way. So
how do you personally define success?
success is when, ooh, success is when you've got your ducks all lined in a row, when you're fully recovered, you're feeling good, and you're respecting yourself, and you're helping others the way you helped yourself out during the time of need. And when you just can say that, I've done it. That's success. I've done it.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for people that are struggling with a mental illness?
For one, ask for help. Number two, don't doubt yourself. You can do it. Just know that you can do it. Another thing is, your disorder is not who you are. So that's actually how I remind myself about my eating disorder. Is my eating disorder does not define me. And number two is, always ask for help. If you need it, ask for it.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say that I have not given you the opportunity to say?
No, actually.
Yeah. Now, do you have a website?
I do. You can find my website at the Deanna Jean Show .webs.com. It will actually, that's my temporary website. It'll be taken down in June for a better host. Actually, webs.com is shutting its doors at the end of June, so I have to move everything over before then. but yeah, it'll be that address for now.
Okay. And when do you think your book is going to be published?
I can't say, but I'm thinking early next year.
Okay. Well, I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
And thank you for being my guest tonight. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed talking to you too.
Thank you. And folks, thanks for tuning in to Holding On with Holder. Please subscribe to my channel and feel free to share this video all over social media, and check out the Deanna Jean Show. And Deanna, once again, thank you. I'll let you go, and you have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.